Hey, what's up everyone? Welcome back to another XRP video analysis. In this video, we're going to be discussing what support and resistance levels we need to be looking out for on XRP as we are finally, after 4 months of a downturn, creating the first signs of a completed correction. A lot of people are turning increasingly bearish, which is the exact sentiment we are looking for when it comes to these complex WXY corrections. And since we are also seeing Bitcoin doing a possible bounce very soon, these WXY corrections are designed to fool you into thinking that we are working in a bearish move to the downside, when in reality, it is just a prolonged correction. Now remember, the overall interpretation, or the narrative rather, is the continuation of a five-way move after that triangle breakout we have been discussing all the way back in the summer of 2024. I mentioned that it would be very strange to have a completed five-wave move here, as you would need to force every internal structure prior to be fitted into what could be a larger flat move to the downside. That would be the only way to interpret a bearish move. I feel like we are missing some residual moves to the upside, meaning that we are missing some waves, meaning that this wave 3, 4, 5 is still in succession after we created this five-way move up for this wave 1. And due to the prolonged correction that I mentioned, this controlled pullback rather as a WXY just seems to be the best fitted case here, as we are still working for what could be the ranging structure of this wave 1 too. Now we also could interpret this. We talked about the idea of an expanded flat idea. That expanded flat idea could still be applied here, meaning that since this move here was a WXY, if this move works up correctively still, we can still create another move to the downside. Now the only evidence behind that is that we didn't front run any of the major Fibonacci levels at the 38.2%, which is usually the minimum expectation of a major Fibonacci level to be supported, let alone we still have major support at the 61.8%, which is really far off from what these levels are suggesting. So what that means is, if we have a completed WXY here and we're expecting some kind of bounce, but we haven't met that Fibonacci level, we can also expect, if this move is corrective to the upside, just like we did for the move to the downside, we also could create another move before moving to the upside. In fact, I would consider that still to be very healthy as a wave 1-2 sideways structure, 3, 4, 5, to help some kind of mitigation in creating a range against what could be a bearish move to the downside. So the further we accumulate, like I said, you guys all know my strategy, which is accumulation. The accumulation strategy usually entails that wave 1-2s and 3-4s usually want to be accumulated as long as they can be to show strength within the markets. And XRP has done that for the past 7 years with this triangle. We're just applying the same idea of accumulation strategy on a shorter time frame. So that being said, we have to zoom in and talk about how this WXY has been created. It's very simple here, but as you can see here, this is that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 that we're looking for. But when you're looking at this correction here as a WXY, the first move down, I've mentioned this quite often a lot, where this move here wasn't impulsive. This was best fitted as an ABC structure here. Now, I'm not sure if we can even force a five-wave impulse to the downside here, so it's most definitely an ABC here. And that means is, since we did create another lower low, this has to be interpreted as a complex correction wave W, X, and then Y. So this move here was definitely corrective in itself. We have a leading diagonal going into wave A, three-way move into a wave B, and a five-way move into a wave C. That, in my opinion, due to the recent moves off the lows, just like for Bitcoin, creating a leading diagonal, the same can be applied here. That has been creating a leading diagonal for a wave 1 here on XRP. That means that we're going to be looking for some kind of wave 2 pullback. It doesn't really give us the idea of how far or the severity of the depth is going to be, because this wave 1-2 can really be any corrective structure other than a triangle. We're going to be looking for a 3, 4, 5 to finally create that first leg wave 1 and then a wave 2 pullback. If this is turning into an A, B, C, and then into a W, X, Y, again, this can also be similar and mirroring that first leg here, which is again going to be completed as that B wave of that larger flat idea that I mentioned. So if that's the case, no problem. We're still looking for all-time highs, in my opinion, around the $4 and the $5 range. I think those levels are going to be very interesting for a profit-taking zone for the bulls. I think that a lot of people are also accumulating at these levels, especially when you're looking at the Korean won chart that I mentioned in the previous videos. So what that means is, if this level is a support level and we didn't reach those major Fibonacci levels, It also suggests that the expanded flight idea is also in play because that C wave can create a new price extreme, which also can bring us down to that first major Fibonacci level at the 38.2%. If not, that means that we haven't even reached the 38.2%, and we're going to have to even resort down to the 23.6%, which is the least common or the very minimum expectation of what could be the support level. But we do have some other confluence here, meaning that we did hit nearly the 100% Fibonacci level when you're using the Fibonacci extension tool. Usually when you're using the Fibonacci extension tool, that's another way to project the targets for these corrections, meaning that this wave W, using the pivot point of this wave X, you can measure the length of this wave Y. And lo and behold, I'm not sure if it's a self-fulfilling prophecy, but we did nearly hit that 100% level and we got a strong bounce off of it. Another way we can be looking at it in terms of support levels is using the normal simple moving averages of the daily time frame. I think a lot of people are also not seeing this. However, if you pull up the 200 moving average, which is one of the most important Fibonacci or support levels, because as you can see, when you're in a bear market turn, it usually acts as strong resistance and it usually acts as strong supports when it's going into a bull market or at least a bull trend. Same idea here. You saw there was a major rejection, eventually acting as support, came back down, retesting it during that accumulation phase. And we're now finally retesting that 200 moving average, which should also give us some interpretation that there is support levels around these levels here as well, because we did briefly break below it, but we're also above it and we have closed candles above it. So if we continue to range here, retest that 200 moving average, it's going to show us strength that a lot of people are interested on this 200 moving average acting as a major support. Now, another interesting aspect is that the Bitcoin price action is actually trading below the 200 moving average, and it may actually break back above it, which could give this temporary strength for XRP as well, as all eyes are on Bitcoin right now. So what that means is if we're all going to kind of synchronize this together with other price action from other assets like Bitcoin, this is also showing incredible strength because a lot of coins right now are actually trading below the 200 moving average, whereas XRP is the only one that is now actually first testing the 200 moving average for the first time. This is a very important indicator because it's just showing how much resilience XRP has within the overall market structure, especially in a time of uncertainty with all the tariffs going on. XRP is still showing mega strength at these levels. Now that can always change, of course, but right now we don't have any interpretation of a five-way move to the downside. This move here was all corrective. It's still showing a double correction, and this is why I'm telling everyone here that this double correction here, or a double zigzag correction that is designed to fool you. And right now, if we have all of the ideas aligned together with even the simple technical analysis, there's a very good chance that we're going to be working for all-time highs at a very minimum expectation. And if we do come back down after we get a new all-time high, don't worry, that's still part of what could be a larger wave 1-2 working for a major wave 3 to the upside. So that's my interpretation of XRP, ladies and gentlemen. Nothing much has changed, but this video was showing you the implications and the importance of these major support and resistance levels. Hopefully that was helpful. Thank you very much. I'll see you guys in the next video. Have a fantastic rest of the week. Bye-bye.